The Pacific Ocean. From a distance, it looked peaceful, an endless horizon, painted in shades of blue, a place where dreams once sailed, and families once believed their loved ones would safely return. But by the summer of 1943, that same ocean had become one of the deadliest battlefields in human history. Every sunrise echoed with the thunder of warships. Every sunset disappeared behind columns of black smoke. Thousands of young men crossed these waters. Many never returned. Yet beyond the beaches, beyond the headlines, and far from history's famous battlefields, another war was quietly unfolding, not with rifles, not with tanks, but inside small canvas hospitals, where life and death fought a different battle every single day. Among those forgotten heroes was a young American Army nurse. Her name was Evelyn Harper. She was only 26 years old. Before the war, she lived a quiet life in Portland, Oregon. She dreamed of becoming a pediatric nurse, helping children, healing families, bringing smiles. Instead of witnessing sorrow, war was never supposed to become part of her story. Then, everything changed. December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor. Within hours, America entered the war. Hospitals across the country urgently called for volunteers. Thousands answered. Evelyn was one of them. The morning she left home, her mother embraced her tightly. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Finally, Evelyn whispered a promise. "I'll come home before the roses bloom again." It sounded so simple, so certain. Neither woman knew how impossible that promise would become. Months later, Evelyn stepped onto a remote island, deep within the Pacific. The air was thick with heat, salt, mud, smoke, and the bitter smell of burning fuel. Palm trees, once symbols of paradise, now stood shattered by explosions. The beaches were scarred with deep craters. Broken landing craft lay abandoned beneath the tropical sun. Paradise had become a battlefield. The field hospital never truly slept. Stretchers arrived day and night. Doctors shouted urgent orders. Generators hummed endlessly. Medical supplies disappeared faster than replacement ships could deliver them. The wounded kept coming. Some whispered for their mothers. Some begged to know if the battle had been won. Others never spoke again. Every face carried its own story. Every pair of eyes held fear, hope, or acceptance. Evelyn quickly discovered that courage inside a hospital looked very different from courage on the battlefield. Here, courage meant staying calm while chaos surrounded you. It meant comforting frightened soldiers, even when you were frightened yourself. It meant holding someone's hand as they whispered their final goodbye. And sometimes it meant writing a final letter for a soldier who could no longer lift a pen. Each evening, after the operating lamps dimmed, Evelyn carried a small leather notebook outside the tent. She sat beneath a lonely palm tree as the sounds of distant artillery echoed across the ocean. Inside that notebook, she carefully wrote names, not military numbers, not ranks, names: Private James Collins, Corporal Henry Lewis, Lieutenant Robert Gaines. Beside each name, she wrote something deeply personal. Loved jazz music, missed his little sister, dreamed of becoming a school teacher. To Evelyn, no soldier deserved to become just another forgotten statistic. Weeks slowly turned into months. The fighting intensified. Enemy aircraft appeared without warning. Bombs shook the island. Hospital tents trembled beneath every explosion. The battlefield was moving closer. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. Dark tropical clouds rolled across the sky. Rain poured heavily onto the camp. Suddenly, the sound of engines filled the air. A convoy of military trucks burst through the hospital gates. Drivers jumped out, shouting desperately, "Mass casualties!" Within seconds, doctors, nurses, and medics rushed into action. Stretchers covered the muddy ground, blood-stained uniforms. Faces disappeared beneath dirt and smoke. Some soldiers clung desperately to life. Others had already lost consciousness. There was no time to think, only time to save. Hour after hour, Evelyn moved from one patient to the next. Bandages, blood transfusions, pain medication, comforting words, steady hands, an exhausted heart. Nearly 18 hours passed before silence finally returned. As Evelyn slowly walked through the empty treatment tent, something beneath one abandoned stretcher caught her eye, a weathered leather satchel. She picked it up carefully. It felt surprisingly heavy. Curious, she opened it.